Hello, fellow psychology and gamer nerds. My name is Brian Hamilton. We've been talking a lot about video games on this channel, so today we're taking a hard ride to discuss the board game Robo Rally. Designed by Richard Garfield, Robo Rally was first pitched to Wizards of the Coast in 1991. Worried about production costs, Peter Adkison, the president of Wizards of the Coast at the time, turned it down and asked Garfield if he had a more portable and printer-friendly game. Garfield then pitched the idea for a collectible card game that he was calling at the time Magic the Gathering.
Wait, what?
Wizards eventually published Robo Rally in 1994. In 1995, it received the Origins Award for Best Fantasy or Science Fiction Board Game and Best Graphic Presentation of a Board Game. Robo Rally has had several editions and expansions published over the years. During that time, the rules have changed significantly. Given the complexity of the game and the various editions, we're going to discuss a very simple rule set that should work regardless of which version of the game you own that will make it easier for you to introduce the game to your clients. During setup, players choose a racing track. Although you can set up your racing track any way you like, it's recommended that you start with one board for the first game. If you have the current version of the game, a starter course is included in the back of the rulebook. Once you have chosen your track, set up the flags around the course. These are the checkpoints that the players will need to hit in numerical order to complete the course. Then decide which player will go first. The game begins with the programming phase. Players draw 9 cards from their programming decks and plan out how they want to move their robots around the board by placing 5 of their programming cards in the register slots on the character boards. As they're planning their course, they'll need to account for the various obstacles that might damage them or alter their movement, such as conveyor belts, rotating gears, push panels, lasers, pits, crushers, and board edges. During the activation phase, the players begin moving their robots. Starting with the first player, each player reveals their programming card in Register 1 and moves their robots accordingly. During their first activation phase, the robots are unable to affect one another. In subsequent rounds, the robots can push one another, fire their lasers at each other, and thus cause havoc to the other players' movements. When a robot takes damage, the last register card they revealed becomes locked. So for example, if Hammerbot fires a laser at Twonky during the third register of the activation phase, Twonky's third register card gets locked in place. Moving forward, Twonky will need to take that movement card into consideration each round as he moves across the board. To remember which cards are locked, you might turn them over or tuck them slightly under the character's board. Robots can repair damage they've taken by declaring a shutdown. During a shutdown, the character keeps its last movement cards in place but does not move during the activation phase. If the character takes damage while shut down, the register cards get locked in place just as they would if they were active. Otherwise, all other locked register cards are discarded. If a robot gets knocked into a pit or falls off the edge of the board, the robot respawns at the respawn point. Depending on the addition you have, this might be their start position, a dedicated token, or the last flag that they touched. Whatever feels appropriate. As your clients get used to the game, you can start to introduce other rules, such as upgrades and damage cards. It's really up to you as the therapist to decide whether or not this is appropriate. Research has shown that individuals with ADHD, dyslexia, and even schizophrenia often have a difficult time with visual spatial processing as well as reductionist thinking. It's also been shown that helping clients develop these skills in therapy through gameplay can help clients manage their symptoms. Robo Rally is a game that encourages both visual processing and reductionist thinking. During the programming phase, players must carefully map out their character's movement and orientation, taking into consideration not only the movement cards they place in each of their 5 registers, but also how the board and other characters will likely affect them. Another thing that Robo Rally helps with is managing distress. Although Robo Rally is a fun game, players often experience feelings of anxiety as they watch their characters move across the playing field, hoping that the program that they put together won't result in them getting shoved into a pit or blasted by a laser. When their programs inevitably go awry, players will often experience feelings of disappointment or frustration. Even as a clinician, I find myself reframing my thoughts and practicing interventions like mindful breathing to manage the distress that I feel while playing the game. Teaching clients some skills for managing frustration and being upfront about the emotionally challenging aspects of Robo Rally can be helpful before introducing them to this game. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to be notified when I upload new videos, please hit subscribe. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I will see you in therapy.